Okay, if you haven't seen my other video, then you probably don't realize this, but I'm running for governor of Minnesota here in 2026. And for those of you who did see the video, some of you asked what I'm planning on doing in order to secure some of these policies that I want to see get done. Now, there's a couple of things that I could get done right off the bat. First off, the child mutilation. Okay, we already have a law in the book saying you cannot mutilate a child's genitals unless it is for the health of the child. Now, that's why they say the mental health, but that's not going to fly. Sorry. Okay, it would be a full-out ban if I was to get elected. Day one. Okay, mass deportations. Now, technically, sanctuary cities and counties, which Anoka, Hennepin, these counties don't have to technically talk to the federal government, but they do have to talk to the state government, who then in turn can facilitate things with the federal government. So there's another workaround right there to help mass deportations. The rest of this is going to take Congress or the Senate. That's just the way it is. Okay. And right now we have a tie. I think it is in the Senate, and we're down 1 or 2 seats in the Congress. So we have to win one of those if we were to win the gubernatorial seat. That's the only way things will get done. Okay. Now I could propose things, and I have a lot of things that I would like to propose. Let me tell you what, you want to see the real rhinos in Minnesota? I'm telling you right now, anybody who disagrees with my proposals, you would see how fake they are. They're not about God. Okay. But let's just get off that for a second, because a lot of you guys forget that the governor does not have that much power when it comes to legislation. Like I said, they can propose things. They can enact executive orders during emergency times. They can create task forces, which is something I want to do for like the gang crime here in the cities, right? However, a lot of this stuff would take an act of Congress. However, the way I look at it is the governor is essentially the head of the household. He is supposed to be the shepherd of the flock. He is the leader. He is the example. And we've been missing a shepherd. Okay. We've had people who have been bought and sold by the elites. That's who's running our country. That's who's running our state right now. Okay. We need to get away from that. We need to find somebody who is a shepherd, somebody who's a pastor, but an actual pastor. Now, I get it. Pastors around here aren't really pastors, but we need somebody who puts God first. And that's what I'm saying I'm going to do. Okay. I'm not going to take donations. I'm not going to take money from lobbyists. None of it. I mean, shoot, the governor makes $150,000 a year. Do you really need money from the lobbyists, dude? So let's just be honest. When it comes to a lot of the other Republicans, like, look, they want people who run businesses. They want people who own things, which is great, right? Good for you. You worked hard. However, here's the thing. You probably stepped on people to get where you are. That's just the name of business. That is the art of the deal, is you win if somebody else loses. Now, technically, yeah, sure, that's, hyperbolic and whatnot, because technically you can have a win-win. However, there's always going to be somebody getting 51%. Okay, and if you're a good businessman, you're the one getting at least 51%. So these people, I don't trust any Republicans, any Democrats. I don't trust them to sit here and not take bribes. I don't trust them not to, capitulate to the wealthy and the elites. I don't trust them to put God first. And I'm telling you right now, if you have somebody who puts God first, you're going to be put first. You can ask me why, how can that be? I will explain it to you very easily. And shoot, if you really want to know before I can get to the point of explaining it to you, just open up the Bible. And you'll find just how good of a world we could have if we had somebody who actually stood with God. But we don't. Whether it's Republicans or Democrats, it's just not the case. And in reality, if we're talking about the average Minnesotan and what they want, why do you think Tim Walz, who was just some random teacher, ended up getting the House and then, winning the gubernatorial seat? It's because they want regular people. Now, if you're outside of the cities especially, I share almost the exact same beliefs as you do. Okay? So I have no problem getting you guys. The Republicans don't have any problem getting you guys. It's the people in the cities. And remember, Scott Jensen still lost with 33% of Minneapolis. 33% was pretty decent if you think about it. When I'm walking around, all I see is blue hair. So 33% going for a Republican is pretty decent. And he still lost. Okay? I'm guaranteeing you, I can get over that. I can get at least 50% of Minneapolis. And how is that? Because I'm one of these people. I've lived with these liberals. I've worked with these liberals for over 10 years. I understand them. I understand their gripes. I understand their frustrations. I understand what they want. I also understand how to word things to them. Because, in fact, a lot of my buddies are liberal, and I've brought them to God. A lot of them have, kind of started taking some quote unquote right-wing stances, which in reality are just godly stances. And I truly believe that as long as we had somebody who can articulate these points properly, like why abortion is bad, why sex changes are bad, why mass immigration is bad, why, soft on crime policies are bad. If you can just have somebody who can articulate these things clearly and in the same way in which these liberals and left-leaners will understand, we could win Minneapolis. But the problem is we are propping up these people who, like I said, they don't have any connection to average everyday Minnesotans. They just don't. They run businesses. That's great. When was the last time they, worked paycheck to paycheck? When was the last time that, they were struggling, stressing about bills? When was the last time that they actually went to the grocery store and was like, you know what, actually, I'm going to get the cheaper brand? Because chances are they probably haven't, And even then, it's like, what's cheap to them, right? So I'm saying all this because I don't want you guys to write me off just because I have no political experience. Because if I'm being honest, I think that's a good thing. I think that's first off how this country was founded. Or, basically, this wasn't a job. This was a duty, okay? You worked in Congress while working your other job. You didn't get a whole bunch of money for it. That's the type of people we need. People who generally just want to see this country flourish. But we have people who get in here and just think about the money. Like, think about how much money is given to lobbyists. For instance, do you know how much money these politicians make? The governor makes $150,000 basically right now. Now, if I remember correctly, Wallace, the increase came last year or whatever, so Wallace hasn't seen it yet. That's not the point. How are you, even then, he made $130,000. How are you going to need to take bribes if you're making $130,000 and the average Minnesotan is making $45,000? How is it that, 10% of Minnesota and its workforce is being hired and paid from the state government, and they make double? They make roughly $72,000 on average. They make almost double than the people paying their salaries. How is that a thing? Okay, this whole government has become too much about money, too much about corruption. And that's what happens when you introduce money, which is why, like I said, I'm not taking donations. I'm not doing any of that. I'm trying to go the Jesus route. If I believe my words are strong enough and rooted enough in truth and godliness, then I should believe that you guys will understand it, hear it, and receive it. I don't need your money. It's the equivalent of when Jesus told his disciples to go up 2 by 2. Don't take any money with you. Don't take any pouches with you. No food. Rely on God. That's it. You just go and you just preach the Bible. You preach what I told you. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show you guys what this world could be like if we elected the right people. And money's not going to solve that. Okay, especially in today's world where I can make a video and, a bunch of people see it. I don't need to go and make advertisements and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not necessary. So I have a lot more ideas that I want to throw out there. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people I feel like are waiting for how am I going to get these things done? And in reality, it's going to take Congress. However, my point is that anything that goes against those values or against God, I would never sign. I would never be on board with. And that you can take to the bank.